If you like myth, folklore, spiritual stories, or kung fu movies, have I got a good story for you today. Why do Buddhist monks salute with one hand? It's a question that I threw out in a few episodes ago, and today I'm going to answer that question. So if you've been holding on with bated breath, stick around because I'm going to tell you all about it in today's lesson. Hi everybody, it's David-Dorian Ross, and welcome to another episode of Learn Tai Chi at Home. Today is day number 57 of 100 Days of Tai Chi. It's a video series in which you're learning how to do the traditional Yang family long form 103 movements. Is this your first time to this channel? And are you a beginner who'd like to learn Tai Chi at home? Especially if you're a beginner who wants to learn Tai Chi to gain better health, or to be younger longer, or to find inner peace and harmony, or even to defend yourself against attackers, then you're in the right place. And all you have to do to get started is simply hit the subscribe and bell icon. Now in today's video lesson, we are still covering movement number 62, which is called the Fair Lady Works Shuttles. Although, if you remember from a couple of lessons ago, this movement also has other names, like the Celestial Maiden goes to and fro, or the Immortal Attendant serves the wine. All the different names for the same movement. Anyway, this is a complicated movement with 4 pieces. Makes an X in its pattern, going first to one corner, then to another corner, and another corner. And what I'm doing is breaking each corner down separately. So we're still on movement 62. So today I have a story to share with you. It is the answer to a question that I posed several lessons ago, which was about why do Buddhist monks always bow with one hand? And I posed the challenge that anybody who knew the answer should write it to the comment section, and so far no one has gotten the right answer. There have been some very creative answers, like one hand holds the staff and one hand is ready to battle just in case, but that's not the answer. No, the answer goes back to a very important figure in Chinese Buddhism named Bodhidharma. Now, Bodhidharma was an Indian monk who traveled to China and is credited with bringing a form of Buddhism known as Chan Buddhism to China. Chan Buddhism, Chan means meditation, kept on traveling all through China and eventually made its way to Japan, where the word Chan becomes Zen. And so Zen Buddhism comes from Bodhidharma's tradition. When Bodhidharma came to China, he made his way to the famous Shaolin Temple. Now, Bodhidharma was a very successful monk and a very holy person, very well recognized throughout China as being an exceptionally enlightened being. And so he gathered a lot of people who wanted to study with him, including a man named Shen Guan. Shen Guan was a prior monk at the Shaolin Temple. He'd already been a Buddhist. He'd already also been studying martial arts for many, many years and was a very high-level martial arts master. But he recognized that Bodhidharma was his superior. And so he came to Bodhidharma and asked, "Would you take me on as a disciple?" And Bodhidharma said, "No." In fact, he said Bodhidharma looked at Shen Guan as someone who was a bit of a faker. He says, you take the easy way out. You're not really devoting yourself to practice. Kung Fu is just easy for you. So you have no discipline, you have no patience. I will not take you as a disciple. Well, Shen Guan wasn't the kind of guy who wanted to take no for an answer, so he hung around. And in fact, the story goes that Bodhidharma eventually went into a cave to sit in meditation for 5 years. And all during that time, Shen Guan stayed at the mouth of the cave waiting for Bodhidharma to wake up and take him on as a disciple. At one point, Bodhidharma wakes up in the middle of winter out of his meditation and sees that Shen Guan is still there. He says, "Are you still here? Get lost." And Shen Guan once again says, "Please, would you take me as your disciple?" Well, Bodhidharma loses his temper and says, The day I take you as a disciple is the day that it snows red. And at that moment, Shen Guan whips out his sword and cuts off his own arm. the blood sprays into the frosty air and falls to the earth as red snow. And so Bodhidharma says, all right, I guess you're serious. Now I will take you as a disciple. Apparently bandaging up Shengguan's arm, who then went on to become one of his top students. Now, because of the symbol of dedication and commitment that cutting off one's arm has, then the disciples at Shaolin Temple have carried this tradition for centuries ever since, that instead of bowing with two arms, in honor not just of Bodhidharma and the Chan Buddhist tradition, but also of Shengguan, the monk with one arm, they bow with one hand. If you've got a curiosity about anything that you've seen in a Kung Fu movie or a story that you've heard from Chinese culture, let me know about it in the comment section below. Maybe I know something too, and I might be able to share a story with you. Now, let's go take a look at today's movement. Today's movement lesson is all about Fair Lady Works at Shuttles, and it's a very complex movement. And if you look closely, you will see that there are bits and pieces of other movements that we've already learned. Now, Now, first things first, let's take a look at the footwork here. And this is a pretty extreme kind of footwork because you're actually doing a 270-degree turn. I'm starting out, let me just start facing away from you. Well, the first thing that happens is that you empty out the front foot and sit back, and then turning to the right, almost 180 degrees, 135 degrees here, so that the front toes are now pointing straight forward. This is important because from here, you're going to bring in the right foot and step back straight from the angle of the left foot. Now, this sounds kind of complicated. Think back to the slow palm slanting flying, the diagonal flying step that we did before, where after the end of repulsed monkey, we stepped in and then stepped diagonally backwards, almost in a blind step. This is exactly the same kind of step here. First, I have to reposition. So I sit back, turn those toes in all the way, step back onto the left foot, and then step back on that diagonal. Now the weight is going to shift. The left toes turning in, right toes turning out, so that you wind up in a bow step now facing a 270-degree angle. In other words, you're turning all the way around to face the other corner. Okay, let's take a look at that footwork once again from the other angle. All right, so starting out facing you, I first sit back, turn in, and hear those toes cranking around, back to the left foot, the right foot steps in, and then back on that angle, turning to create a bow step facing into this corner. Now let's take a look at what the hands are doing. I'm going to make this a little shallow so that you can kind of see the angle of the hands. So I'm actually starting from this position, but I'm just kind of adjusting here. The first thing that happens is as you sit back, both hands press down, right? The overhead ward-off hand drops, and the palm strike here also comes in so that both hands press down until they are both about the level of the chest here. As the body turns to the right, they open out and separate, right? Now we're going to shift back over here to the left foot, and the right hand turns palm up, scooping underneath, right? The two hands close again. This is the same action that we did on the first Fair Lady, right? Now as I step back, the underneath hand, the right hand, becomes a ward-off arm and begins to open out on its way to warding off overhead. The left hand begins to withdraw into the chest right here, just like the first one, right? After I finish warding off and Before I finish my bow step, I begin to turn the right palm or left palm out to press forward. Again, I'm going to do this a little bit shallow just so that you can see. So I want to be warding off, not quite finished with my bow step, then shift forward and press. In the final position here, it's the right hand warding off overhead and the left hand pushing with the right foot stepping forward. The waist turn starts off squared off over the left foot into this corner, sitting back, and now the waist turns to the right. Turn, 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 all the way. Right? Really extreme. As the weight shifts back into the left foot, the waist turns back to the left again. Right? This constant wind, unwind, rotation, counter rotation. Then stepping back with the right foot. As I settle down and begin to shift the center of gravity, I also begin to turn, 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 waist turning, waist turning, waist turning, eventually squaring off to the right over the right foot. Good. All right, that's a lot of pieces. Let's look at that one more time from the two different angles. Well, once again, we've come to the end of another lesson, which I hope that you really enjoyed. And if you did enjoy the lesson and got something out of it, please would you mind going down and clicking that thumbs up like button just to let me know that I'm on the right track. If you don't like what you've seen, you can hit the thumbs down button. That actually would be just fine with me. It lets me know that I need to make some changes so that I can make the next video better. Also, I want to say if this is your first time here and you've finished watching this lesson and you start to think to yourself, you know, I think I could learn Tai Chi at home, then all you need to do to get started, if you haven't already done so, is click that subscribe button, because there's a lot more where this came from. In fact, in tomorrow's video, I'm going to take on the third step, the third leg of the X of Fair Lady Works Shuttles. So you want to make sure that you watch tomorrow to get that lesson. Now, last but not least, I just want to say thank you for all of your time and attention and for the opportunity to share my Tai Chi with you. I really appreciate it. Have a great evening, a great morning tomorrow, and I'll see you in the next lesson.